Hello everyone, I'm Hari on the Forbes India team. Today we have an iconic personality with us to talk about some very relevant things. As you all know, the last year has been unprecedented with the COVID pandemic, and we have with us Mr. Narayana Murthy, founder of Infosys Indian ITes Bellwether, to talk to us about his views on what India should be doing, what corporate India should be doing, his hopes for the next generation of leaders of Indian large corporations and so on. And also we'll hopefully get a chance to ask him a little bit about, his own personal journey, the way he found his purpose and how he has applied that, to his work. So, Mr. Narayana Murthy, welcome to the show, sir, to the Forbes India Leadership Awards event. We're really looking forward to listening to your views. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations to every one of the awardees. They have done a great job. They are going to be role models for all of us. So I thank you for this opportunity to participate in this function.
So let me start with the first question that we have for you, sir. The Silicon Valley entrepreneur investor Peter Thiel once famously said, "We wanted flying cars. Instead, we got 140 characters." I guess the point he's trying to make was that there are fewer game-changing ideas today than in the past because many entrepreneurs are busy making apps, to entertain consumers and so on, rather than building hard physical products. With some exceptions like Elon Musk, maybe, products that can employ tens of thousands and so on. Would you agree that big ideas have been replaced by sort of ho-hum incremental innovations?
Well, Peter Thiel is a very intelligent and highly accomplished person. I admire him. It is difficult to disagree with him. However, let me give you my view. Entrepreneurs have always thought of ideas that make the life of customers and consumers better. Big ideas have been coming in every day. We do not recognize them as big until they actually become big. I am reminded of what some scientists said at the end of the 19th century or at the end of 1800s, that whatever had to be invented and discovered in physics had already been done, and that there were no new big ideas. Then came relativity, quantum mechanics, transistors and ICs, cars, computers, internet, storage devices, and many other inventions based on the ideas of fundamental physics that have actually changed the world. For example, Amazon, Uber, Facebook, and Google are inventions that have changed the world in a significant way. However, because most manufacturing has left the shores of US and that of Western Europe to China and the Far East, Peter is probably right in thinking that the new ideas are not creating a large number of jobs like the ideas of the 50s and the 60s. This is, of course, a huge challenge for policymakers. That is why every country must create a think tank consisting of scientists, sociologists, technologists, doctors, economists, management experts, union leaders, and corporate leaders to discuss and debate what kind of ideas that are coming up on the horizon or good for our society, for the society, and what kind of policies should be put in place to encourage the creation of new jobs from these new ideas, and how we can quickly reskill people to take up these jobs in these changing environments. For example, we should have done this exercise in 1995 when electronic commerce appeared on the horizon in the US. Therefore, my suggestion to the government is to think about this issue. Singapore has already done a very good job in this area. Let me stop here.
All right, excellent. Let me turn to our own country. How should India go about solving its problems of education, healthcare, nutrition, with the help of science and research?
While our higher educational institutions have made progress in research and education, we have not seen much impact of this progress on our lives. Somehow, our culture has not emphasized the importance of solving problems that exist around us. We have, as you know, huge problems in education, in healthcare, in nutrition, in shelter, in water, you name it. Everywhere we have serious problems. Let me give you some examples. Dengue and chikungunya are unique to India and, of course, the developing world. My friend Professor Sudhir Krishna and his team have been working hard to solve the problem of dengue. But he has not found much encouragement from either the state governments or the central government. Let me give you another example. When a well-known technologist philanthrope of the US wanted to solve the problem of producing cheap, clean water for the developing world, I am told he did not come to any of our higher educational institutions, but he assigned that problem to a top 10 higher educational institution in the US. This is because we have not developed a reputation for solving our problems using science and technology. I see lots of bright, hardworking, and well-intentioned youngsters in India, but we have not been able to solve our own big problems. I believe our higher education focus will have to move towards finding solution to our own problems. Somehow our mindset is not to solve problems around us, but to try and attempt to solve the problems perceived by the developing world. Let me give you an example of this. I will take an example from my own industry. According to the latest NASCOM report, India, I believe, has generated about US $190 billion from the IT industry and about $100 billion US from just the software services companies alone. This is not a small sum. However, I have hardly seen any collaboration between our institutions of higher learning and our IT companies to recognize and solve some of the critical problems of the software services industry or the BPM industry. People tell me that they are doing blue sky research and that has no relevance to the software services industry. I understand that blue sky research may not have immediate application, but even relativity and quantum mechanics have had huge impact on our daily life thanks to GPS accuracy, transistors, laser printers, laser surgery, PET scanners, etc. All the good ideas of cloud, data analytics, AI, machine learning, 5G, and IoT have all come from the West. The good thing is that today there are some youngsters in India who are working on the leading edge problems. Let me stop here.
So yeah, I mean, in the context of wealth creation, certainly the IT industry has been a significant wealth creator in the country. But as you know, COVID has only exacerbated the problem of the wealth divide all over the world. So how can CEOs of large corporations ensure that their boards and their companies are not insular to this problem, to this situation?
We are the evangelists of compassionate capitalism in India. That is capitalism in mind and liberalism or socialism at heart. Capitalism, as you know better than I do, is new to India. There is a lot of skepticism about capitalism in our country. However, I am convinced that the only solution to the problem of poverty in India is creation of jobs with good income. That is possible only under compassionate capitalism. Technology, as you know very well, plays a big role in today's entrepreneurship essays. It is the duty of our corporate leaders, academicians, intellectuals, our bureaucrats, and our politicians to create a positive climate of opinion for our entrepreneurs, for free market, and for a powerful, well-informed, and impartial regulator. The responsibility of corporate leaders is to demonstrate self-control over greed. They should demonstrate large-heartedness. They should demonstrate generosity. For example, when Infosys was formed, I distributed stocks very generously to my young co-founders who had hardly 1 or 2 years of experience and were 5 to 6 levels below me in corporate hierarchy. Therefore, the corporate leader should first ensure that the lowest earning employees are given increments before the turn of the senior management comes up. This is particularly true during the time of hardship. Infosys is probably the only company in India that distributed shares to every employee in the company, from the peons to non-founder executive directors. As late as 2007, under Chris Gopalakrishnan CEO-ship, we distributed, as of date, 19% of the total equity to our non-founder employees. I think at today's prices, it's somewhere more than 100,000 crores. Let me stop here.
So what are your hopes for the next generation of corporate leaders in India? And what advice would you give them?
No, Ari, I believe that performance brings recognition, recognition brings respect, and respect brings power. So the only way Bharat can indeed become Mahaan is through performance, particularly economic performance. Our corporate leaders have the primary responsibility to make it happen, and our bureaucracy and political leaders have the responsibility to create an environment conducive for such work by our corporate leaders. Every company should have a target for export as a percentage of revenue so that the country becomes a leader on the global scene. Also, if you satisfy the most demanding customers on the global scene, you will provide better products and better services to our own domestic clients. Our leaders, therefore, have to worry about work productivity, revenue productivity, and quality. They have to put the interest of the country and the interest of the company ahead of their own personal interest. Our corporate leaders have to become honest, transparent, hardworking, disciplined, innovative, and competitive. Every CEO should maximize the following parameters: one, revenue, profitability, EPS growth, per capita export revenue added in US dollars, and per capita free cash flow added. Free cash flow, in my opinion, is perhaps the most important parameter that every CEO should focus on. Let me say per capita free cash flow. That's the most important parameter that every CEO should worry about. On the non-financial side, I would expect them to focus on multiculturalism, diversity, sustainability, and social responsibility. Companies should not create negative externalities like polluting air and water. Let me stop here.
One question, sir, aimed at basically learning from your life and your experiences. Many of us struggle with the idea of having a purpose that can guide us through the toughest of times. Can you reflect a bit on how you found your purpose in your life? How that has evolved over the years, and how you use it, to guide your work on a daily basis.
My belief is that the only way a country like India, can solve the problem of poverty is by creating jobs with good income. There is no other way. You can say Garibi Hatao 1,000 times, nothing will happen. As we saw, Indira Gandhi saying Garibi Hatao, did Garibi go? No, it didn't. This task of removing poverty from India can only be done by entrepreneurs in the private sector and not by the government. The task of the government is to create an environment that encourages these entrepreneurs to create more and more better and better paying jobs by removing every hurdle that these entrepreneurs are likely to face. I learned this important lesson in the early 70s when I was working in Paris and when I had discussions with experts in the ideologies of the left, the right, and the center. These ideas of mine were strengthened by my experience during the hitchhiking trip I did from Paris to Mysore in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, the Soviet Union, the Middle East, Iran, and Afghanistan. Thanks to an unpleasant brush with the police in a place called Niš in Bulgaria, in actually Serbia, I was transformed from a confused leftist to a determined, compassionate capitalist. That has been my inspiration. That is how my purpose became very, very clear to me. Therefore, my purpose at this time is to do whatever little I can every day to encourage entrepreneurs in India. I am running my 75th year, so all that I can say that I am just an observer of the progress of India. And I cheer entrepreneurs and everybody else, everybody that is young and enthusiastic and energetic. I cheer them from the sidelines. That's what I would like to say.
Mr. Murthy, sir, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time, sir. As always, it was a learning experience listening to you. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you very much, Hari. Very kind of you.
Forbes India Leadership Awards 2020-21.